Everyone try and summon Cthulhu. That's a terrible idea. Rejected. Why would we want to summon an elder god? That's how this all comes down and ends terribly. Anybody got any good stories of a cooking mishap or kitchen nightmare?
Oh, yeah.
I also like the second part of that challenge is maybe add some cooking tips while you're at it. No. We're just going to go with the nightmare part right here. I saw 2 hands go up. I'm going to go with Alex because it's her first year.
Okay. So when I cook with eggs, I like not wasting any part of the egg.
Including the shell?
No.
Okay.
No. We compost that, but I try to use, like, if I'm doing a recipe with just egg whites, I try to come up with something for the egg yolks as well. So I took my egg whites and I made this beautiful pavlova. It was nice. And then I decided creme brulee, egg yolks, sure. I started kind of late at night. It was about 10 o'clock when I started. I was like, yeah, this will be done in an hour. 11 o'clock rolled by, 12 o'clock rolled by, and finally the custard was done. Everything was like baked and ready to go. And it was time to do the sugar on top. It was 1:30 in the morning. I was at that time living with both of my parents and my brother. So they're all asleep. And I can't find my blowtorch. So I'm like, well...
Is a sentence you just said?
So like, I could just broil it. I've seen the people on Great British Bake Off do it. Like, why not? It looks easy. So I turn on my broiler, oven beeps. It's like, yes, we're ready to go. So I stick it in, and I can't see the top. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to need to get this thing out so that I can see if it's, bruleed. And I get my, oven mitts on, and I get in there, and I'm trying to get it out. And it won't quite come out, so I'm like, why are my hands getting really warm? And I left the creme brulee in there, and I pulled my hands out, and both of my hands were on fire.
What?
And so it's 1:30 in the morning, my whole family's asleep, and my first thought was, well, I can't wake them up. So, dead silence, I start smacking my hands together to put the fire out.
Oh, no.
And then, as soon as it was out, I, turned around and, made eye contact with the fire alarm.
You're like, don't you say anything. Wow.
And it didn't say anything, so I was like, yes,
Wow.
this is the best. So I figured it out, and I got my thing out, and it wasn't ready yet, so I put it back in. And then the next time I opened, all I did was I cracked the oven on the second go, and the fire alarm.
Solid story.
Emily?
So folks who know my husband and I know we actually both very much love cooking and experimenting with things and trying things. What they don't know is the things that happened before we got to that point. When I was 14, living in Whitehorse, I was making a stir fry, and it was the first time I had ever made a stir fry. This wok has a lid. It's an electric one that you plug into and leave on the counter. And I start it. And I'm going, and I turn around, and all you hear is, boom! And I turn back, and then clank, 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 clank. And I turn around, and the lid from the wok had exploded, hit the ceiling, come back down, and there was moose meat, because my dad was a hunter, and I lived in the Yukon, all over the ceiling. And I just stood there looking at it as my mom came in. To this day, I have no idea how I managed that.
For those
Except
of you,
I did have to repaint the ceiling.
those of you unfamiliar with the Yukon, it's right next to Alaska, to give sort of an idea.
Yeah.
It's that way.
Yeah.
I have a small coffee one, which is
Please.
something that I didn't know you could do. So, I was staying at my friend's house for Desert Bus last year. Here in Victoria, I was crashing at a friend's house, and they had a Bodum out in their little studio where I crash in. Now, I use a pour-over method, as Serge speaks of, so I had my setup of my proper espresso coffee, my cream, my sugar, all the things I needed to make it taste good, but I had failed to bring my little Melita thing to pour through, so I thought, well, I can do it in the Bodum. How hard could that be? So I threw some coffee grounds in the Bodum, blah, 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 put it in. Well, I never really thought about the grind.
Ah.
So I was only going for flavor. Never even dawned on me that grind would have anything to do with anything.
Just a little.
A lot. So now I'm trying to push the plunger down on the Bodum, and I'm not really getting much action. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's not really moving much.
Yep.
So I'm like, it's early. It's probably 4:30 or 5 a.m. And I'm like, listen, this coffee, it's important. Right? So I gave a little more muscle.
Yeah.
Because it just didn't seem to be a wrong thing. I gave it a little more muscle, and it exploded. A little teeny hole came out of the bottom of the boat right on the corner, which shot across the room. I had coffee grounds dripping off the ceiling, off all the kitchen cupboards. I was completely covered in little bits of coffee. There was no coffee left to drink, Serge.
Oh.
There was no coffee left to drink.
All coffee for the room.
All for the room. So, yeah, grind is actually super,
Very much so.
important.
Hey, Nightbook, any stories over there? Any kitchen nightmares?
Yeah, one time I knocked over a bottle of ragu on my floor in our carpeted kitchen.
Ooh.
You're what now?
And
Carpeted kitchen?
I just put a towel over it and left the house.
Sounds like a solid plan.
So,
Yeah.
Nightbook, it sounds more
I
like you
was like-
created a kitchen nightmare for your roommate.
I was like 20, 19. I was young and stupid.
32, like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Ashley
That
was not happy, but
that-
Jade was.
That was last night. Oh, I'm scared.
I can't go
wanna know
home.
why the carpet was in the kitchen.
I don't know. It was kind of it was a weird basement suite that me and my buddy moved into, and it was just carpeted. Like, the only thing that wasn't carpeted was the bathroom, thankfully. But yeah, the kitchen was carpeted for some reason.
One of the first places I moved into had a carpeted bathroom.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I
It
see
didn't.
carpet bathroom.
It didn't have a shower. It was only like a sink and toilet, but it was carpeted. And I was just like,
Not
this
okay.
is a bad idea.
Not
That
okay.
sounds like a bad time.
One
Yeah.
of our houses in Germany had carpet in the bathroom.
Yeah?
It had like a tile area directly around the tub itself, but everything else was carpet. I just thought it was a German thing, and then I found out it was just a bad idea.
Yeah. I definitely prefer the style of bathroom where it's just like one solid piece of plastic and you just hose it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Julie, did you have a kitchen nightmare?
I do. It's not. It's a family story because my own cooking is pretty vanilla, so nothing really bad happens. But this was a Christmas tale. My aunt, who is a wonderful cook, she did the big family Christmas breakfast. This was several years ago now, and she had just purchased a brand new waffle iron, and so we were gonna have Christmas morning waffles. And so, she's got the batter mixed up, and then and everything's fine, and then, there's not really much for the rest of us to do, so I was kind of chilling out in the living room, which was around the corner. And I hear her starting to, mix, and I hear her starting to pour, and then I start hearing a bit of a muffled scraping, and then muffled cursing, and then the telltale ka-chunk of a waffle iron being thrown against the kitchen wall. And then my mom peers out from the threshold of the kitchen and says, "We'll be having pancakes."
I did that with a dozen eggs once. Just threw a dozen eggs in the sink
Yeah,
because I was mad.
yeah.
I was trying to make poached eggs, and poached eggs are best with fresh eggs. And I don't have a chicken. I wish I did, but like, I had some eggs from the grocery store, and I was trying to make poached eggs, and I put one in the little, the vessel to put it in the water.
The poach basket.
Yeah, the poach basket. The yellow would break, and I didn't do anything wrong. I just cracked
Sure.
it like normal. I went through 3 or 4, and I said a lot of words I can't say now, and
That's
threw
fair.
a whole dozen of eggs in the sink. It was like beep 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 beep, and then had something else for breakfast.
All right, I'm gonna do something dangerous here, and I'm going to share a joke.
Quickly say 1 minute 45 seconds on this giveaway. $5.01 or multiples thereof. You only have 1.5 minutes left, so head to the donation page right now if you want a chance to win the Long Dark prize pack. That's going to get you a hoodie, a mug,
Yep.
and a signed poster from the dev team for episode 3 of the Long Dark. So
And it is worth mentioning on this particular one, it is a large hoodie. They don't have a number of different sizes. We have the physical one here, so please be aware that there is a hoodie to wear, not your choice of hoodie to wear. Oh, look, even engineering's finally labeled your mic pack correctly there. So I'm on mic 5, which is great.
Yeah.
And we got Nightbook there, good in the chair, and Ashton. Is Ashton even here?
yeah, he's over
Yes,
there.
he's right there. Can you not see
Interesting.
him? Great for you.
So I'm going to take my life into my own hands and tell the Joe story here. And I love Joe, my partner of 11 plus years. Joe has a weird relationship with food in that if something goes wrong in the kitchen, is Joe coming for me? Why is Sarah pointing off camera?
Oh, Sarah's just playing with Ashton.
Where Ashton is. Okay. There, Ashton is here. Okay, thank goodness. Anyways, if something goes wrong in the kitchen, Joe will not accept that a mistake has happened, and that's what we're eating.
Okay.
So it has trained us such that things have to go well, or else. Which is rather interesting, and I try to be like, Joe, food time doesn't have to be punishing.
Right.
I had a roommate accidentally discover how to make a pretty decent impersonation of pepper spray one time.
Go on.
So, I mean, the setup's pretty easy. It was essentially, she had peppers. She wanted to kind of get them a bit of a dry out and a crispness to them, and she put them in the toaster oven.
Oh God.
And where I enter this story is sitting in my room, like completely unaware of anything is happening, and then the fire alarm goes off. So naturally, I open the door, and immediately my eyes just water. Like I've just been hit in the face with something, and I go, "What is going on?" And yeah, it's just there's not a major fire, but there is smoke in the kitchen. There is immediate discarding of whatever is in there and thrown out into the driveway. Every window in the house opened, and cut to about 5 minutes after that happening, all of us having to stand out on our patio as the entire place just got some air
I'm so
circulating
sorry.
through it.
I interrupted you with some perfectly ordinary human noises there.
Yes, no problem.